unplug it. Right?
Yep. Unplug it, plug it back in. It's supposed to work.
Rural charter. You know
I
what that is?
responded to you, right?
Have you
Yes.
heard of that before?
I have your name down.
Good.
All right.
Ready, Gary? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Well, we're right on time. It's 6 o'clock. Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. I'd have a roll call, please.
Ryan,
Here.
John,
Here.
Dan,
Here.
Wanda. Here. Don.
Here. Sound a little loud. The next item is if anyone has a financial conflict of interest.
I do not.
No.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not. Okay. Next is approval of the agenda, and we have a couple items to add to the agenda. John, you had,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add to the agenda to start a conversation about the process to open applications for our ambulance administrator.
Where do you want to put that?
We can do it at,
we can do it right now if you want.
9A?
Well,
Yeah, how about 9A?
that'll be 9A. And I would like to add, I was contacted by email late last week and then again early this week about the possibility of joining together with Clay County to request a RAISE, R-A-I-S-E grant. And this is just an application for the grant to have a study to determine whether there's a possibility of making a trail between Vermillion and Yankton. So we could put that in 9B. Anything else? Any other additions or changes?
Litigation.
Yeah, we're gonna add litigation report to the executive session. Hearing no other changes, I'd entertain a motion.
I would move to approve the agenda as amended.
second.
Have a approval by Wanda, second by John. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, it's time for public comment. Gary, would you take a peek up there and see if we got any, please? Our public is quiet tonight. Easy night for us. Next item on the agenda is 2023 assessments and date for Board of Adjustments. Michelle. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
Sorry. Okay, so I wasn't gonna do a PowerPoint, and then someone suggested I should. So I threw one together very, very quickly. In your packets, you all have all of this information. First of all, assessed values are driven by the real estate market. And of course, this past year, we've all known what the market has done. So we've had to do quite a few adjustments to follow law, administrative rule, USPAP, IAAO, county and city regulations. Some important dates that we will need to take note of is March 1st, next week, the assessment notices will be mailed. March 16th is when the last day to appeal to your local board of equalization, and then that board will meet between the 20th and the 27th. April 4th is the last day to appeal to the auditor's office for unorganized townships in the city of Yankton. And then Consolidated and County Board of Equalization meets between April 11th and May 2nd. Taxes. It's a common misconception that property burden changes directly in proportion to property values. South Dakota, the taxing system is budget-driven, not rate-based. And state law limits taxing districts' authority to increase their budgets. In South Dakota, you can only increase 3% plus the growth factor, which captures the new development. Tax levies are adjusted to meet budgetary requirements of taxing entities. Property assessments are adjusted only to meet the market standards that are required by law. Our primary objective in the equalization office is a fair valuation of property, which ensures equitable distribution between property tax burdens between owners. Just some areas that we're responsible for, reappraisal projects. Each year we go and review a certain neighborhood or a certain area and just make sure that our information is current and up to date. We review all building permits on the properties. This past year we did 119 transfers and updated all the property records accordingly. There was 82 splits and plats, and then we also do any of the property exemptions. We apply them towards the value.
You said 119, it's 1,000.
1,019, thank you.
You worked a lot
That's
harder.
better, yeah.
Big
yeah.
difference.
I'll give you credit for that.
Yeah, that Janelle would not be happy if I said that. Now the fun part, the countywide value is about 2.87 million, excuse me. Values increased about
Billion?
8.8
Right?
2.8
Billion.
billion. Did I say million? I'm sorry, excuse me, billion. Property values increased 8.95%, and of course this is before any exemptions, tax freeze, board changes. The growth this past year was about 1.3%, meaning the remainder is the market value changes. We had to change them again to meet our certain level assessment according to law. We have to be at 85% of median ratio. So if a property sells, to figure out where the ratio is, you take the assessed value divided by the sale price. We were below that. This past year, we started at 73.25%. We had to get up to a minimum of 85%. We ended at 85.32.
That's state, driven by state ordinance.
That is state and codified law.
Nothing to do with your department.
Nope, it's codified law 10-3-41. Well, that's one of them. There's actually a couple other ones, but that's the main one. So that also, within that law, it tells you that we have to be at 85%. And with that formula to figure out the level assessment, we divide the 85 by where we ended. So our equalization factor will be close to 1 for this next year, simply because where we ended. A lot of properties had an increase. We changed over 49% of the county had to change in value due to the market. Some of the neighborhoods, depending on your house type in your neighborhood, some went up significantly, 40%. That's very high compared to what we've seen in the past, but with the market the way it was, we had to do it. Not everybody changed that percentage, but there was more, 59% of the values. There was a lot that had to go up. Let's see, again, ag land changes. This is all due to productivity. Crop soils did not change this year. Grass soils went up 3.12%. Some other statistics are our road districts. There's the value of our road districts. We actually just had a new one approved this past year, so they'll be getting one as well. Also with our being at our level assessment, we try to be at 92 is where we usually aim for. This past year, we just barely made it to 85 with doing those drastic changes that we were required to do. So hopefully in the future, we can get back to where we're really like to be. But this year with those changes, we would have had to increase even more to get to where we would like to be at 92. And then I just have a couple charts for you guys, and I know they're all in your packet. Values the past couple of years, breaks it down by city, small towns, organized townships, unorganized, between ag and non-ag, just different ways to look at it. Of course, this is all before any exemptions, elderly tax-frees, discretionaries, all of that. You can see where the total assessments have changed, in what areas.
It looks like the value or the percent of total value for the city of Yankton has increased a lot, because I believe, Don, if you remember, what was that, 3 years ago, it was about 40%, and now it's about 47% of the total. So that's increased significantly.
Yep, and in there is, you know, the growth as well as reappraisal and market changes. So that's both are represented there in those numbers. Small towns, they had to go up this year as well. So that's a increase that they're not used to seeing either. Small towns, small acreages.
The ag buildings, they went down.
We lost quite a
1.48%.
few.
Oh, so that's due to them being demolished.
Correct.
Okay, that's good to point that out.
Yep.
that- So if there was some that fell down because of the winds,
Yes.
I'm sure that played a role into
It did,
that.
it played a big
Okay.
factor in that.
Yep, makes sense.
We do have some TIDs, just to show you a breakdown of which ones are currently active this past year. The last two were activated, so the actual increment is going from exempt to non-exempt. So they do have an increment right off the bat, which is nice for those entities.
Those were all passed by the city except for the top one.
Except for the top
That's a
one, the
good
top one's a
point
county
to
one.
Point out too is that the city can implement a TID without the county's approvals within the municipality.
Yep, we just get to administer it.
Yeah, exactly.
Breakdown of values, of course, the city of Yankton has 48%. Then we have unorganized and organized, and of course, small towns is 1%. Just a pretty little graph for you. This is interesting. As you all know, we're on productivity for ag land. Without being on productivity, our ag values would be the top two lines. With productivity, we are more so coasting. It all depends on the commodity prices, then those are allocated down to what the soils could produce. So this past year, we've had some high dollar per acre sales, and if we were on market value for ag land, that's where the assessments would be. But we're on productivity since 2010 for ag assessments. Just a little shot for Beacon the past 2 years. Daily request, these have significantly jumped since COVID. I had a chart of going back from when we first got Beacon in 2012, and basically when COVID started, Beacon has a lot more requests per day. And this is also saving time for our employees. All of our information is right there at the fingertips. You can come in and view it. It's subscription based. There's some things you can't view at home, but if you need anything, give us a call and we can help you out. And levies correspond with property values. So if your property values go up, levy rates should go down. Any questions, comments?
And the date, the taxpayer will kind of know what his taxes are,
March 1st, your assessment notice goes out.
okay?
So with changing that many property values, we don't know exactly what the levies are gonna do, simply because we don't have budgets done. So I really kind of personally foresee that the levies potentially will go down. I always try to picture it as a big pot. Well, the pot value is significantly grown, and the budgets can only grow by 3% in CPI. So there's more base to equalize that value.
And those will be like November, December.
Is that a yes?
It'd be just nice for our public
Yes.
to know if their taxes are gonna go up 40%. For a lot of people, it'd be nice to know as soon as we could.
Yeah, and it's just whenever the budgets are submitted and
Yeah.
Patty gets the levies, so.
One of the things I'd like to see, and I know I visited with Michelle about this already, is the valuation of all the properties the counties can't tax, all the, the state property, the city property, the municipal property, and then all the
Churches.
nonprofits. I think we would be absolutely astounded by the property that is in Yankton County but cannot be taxed. I don't know, maybe we don't wanna know that number.
It's hard to also put a
Yeah.
value on a
It-
cemetery.
Yeah, the cemetery, yeah,
For
but then
example.
also like buildings, for example, that are here and all the state property that, keeps getting bought and, for game fishing parks. And then that gets off the tax rolls and then now everybody else has to pay just a little bit more. So,
That's interesting you said game
Yeah.
fishing parks. I just spoke with them the other day and some of their properties are tax exempt and some of them are not. If they're in production,
mhm,
is how they termed it.
sure.
They do pay property taxes on that.
Okay.
The game fishing parks does. So we need to set a date for appeals. So on the second Tuesday of April, we have to open the appeals. Basically just that, have a meeting saying that we open the appeals. I'd like to get all the appeals, I guess my suggested date would be Friday, April 21st. If we can do what we've done in the past, if it's 12 or 1 is what we typically have done previously.
There's gonna be a lot of them this time, aren't there?
I potentially foresee that,
Yeah.
but we could start earlier, we could start, I guess,
I'd suggest we start earlier. I don't
Okay.
know how it fits everybody's schedules.
Well, those of us who are going to Pier for the workshop, we will be gone and then we'll have rescheduled that meeting either to that Monday, I guess we haven't decided yet, or that Thursday. But Friday, I think would be fine, but we'll spend a lot of time together that week, I think.
Yeah,
What day is the 21st?
Friday,
Right.
I
Friday.
think Friday'd be fine for me.
It's fine with me.
so 10 o'clock Friday,
Sounds good.
okay?
And then that
I-
one on April 11th is that's at 10, last year we had it at 10 o'clock
Yep,
in the morning, and it was just to open it and close it and we're done.
it's basically just make a motion, from what I understand, to open the
We
Board of
wanna do that on
Adjustment.
the 4th then?
It has to be on the 11th,
On the
according to law.
11th.
Sorry.
Got it, no.
Didn't bring my calendar, so I can't say one way or another, but I can tomorrow. And I can let Patty know.
What time were we thinking on the 11th? 9,
10, I think,
10?
Can we move it to 11?
whatever.
I'm good with 11. I like
11?
better.
What date?
Yeah,
It's a
April
Tuesday.
11th at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Take it, looks like 5 minutes. So we got, April 11th at 11 and April 21st at 10, correct?
Any other questions? Comments? Fun stuff.
Did a nice job, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Do we need a motion for that? No? Okay. Next, the contact office.
Actually, printed them out too.
So I'm Rebecca Meyer. I'm the new director at the contact center. I've been in the position about 6 weeks. What you are seeing in front of you is some of the new things that we're implementing in the brochure, but then you'll also see our annual report for 2022. And in that information, you'll see that we were able to serve over 2,200 families through our programs, almost 2,000 of those families being through the food pantry. Based on our software, 4,500 people were served through the food pantry in 2022, and that was serving them with 3 to 5 days worth of food. And then if you look down on the program reports, you'll see that our other services, such as our rental, utility, medication, gas, and then we also do diapers and formulas and holiday meal baskets. So we're making a big impact in the Yankton community, trying to meet the needs of people who are experiencing like a crisis within their lives. We have some changes happening. We're going to be moving around the food pantry a little bit, making it a little more client's choice. We've done some research, and client's choice will cut back on waste within the food pantry, giving people the option, but also instilling dignity in the experience for them, which is part of our mission statement. One of the big things that kind of like popped out to me is the contact center, and coming into the contact center and only have been here a little over a month, I had no idea the impact that it was really making in the community. I'm fortunate I've never had to utilize the food pantry, but of the families that we've served, 669 of them visited the food pantry more than one time. So, I mean, there's just a really big need, and we've seen a big uptick based on like the historic information that is already in our software, just based on the last 2 months of like rental and utility assistance that we're seeing. So I wanted to come and let you guys know that the funding that you've provided to us is going to a good cause, and we're utilizing it the best we can. We also are a Salvation Army unit, and so with the Salvation Army, some of the programs fit within that, like the lodging and things like that, but we have some other new programs that we'll be implementing as well, which I'll let you in on later. Anyone have questions for me?
Is there some residency requirement for Yankton County citizens, or anybody can just show up?
So I would say that Yankton County is our primary. We don't have like a solid policy in place. We're working on it right now to like either determine like who we serve. So we know Clay County, we know Bonhomme County, they all have food pantries, but there's some of the smaller counties in Nebraska that do not. But then like the funding piece of it, like are we getting funding from them? So we just established a committee that's reviewing our policies, and so, but I'm almost positive it's going to be just Yankton County. But right now we're saying greater Yankton area.
Well, the reason that I ask is I had business last week here in the government center, and then as I was leaving, I saw 2 gentlemen loading up their car with the grocery cart from the food pantry, and they had Nebraska plates on it.
So, but if their driver's license is switched over to South Dakota, that's how we determine where they live. And people get rides all the time. Like a lot of the people we see, we've actually just entered a partnership with transit, because a lot of the people that come to us don't have transportation. So they're either utilizing someone else to bring them here or transit. So I'm not sure about license plates.
Well, it just seemed counterintuitive that somebody from Nebraska would drive all the way up here to take somebody to the food pantry in Yankton.
Our radius is, right now, is either 40 or 60 mile radius of Yankton is
Well, you have to go to the podium so that our at-home viewers can hear you.
So that's Emily. She,
Hello,
Vanderhill, she
Emily.
serves on our board. And so she is right. We serve a 40-mile radius right now. But like I said, we're revisiting our policies right now. And one of the things that we've discussed is where else are there food pantries that we could refer them to. And when we say that, we're not going to turn them away the first time they come, like we will still give them food, but then we'll be like, here's a resource for you to use in the future. So,
Would it be possible to collect that data, like exactly, you know, where you're serving, you know, where are these people coming from?
yes.
You know, even if it's just, you're not turning them away or anything, just start collecting that data, so then we know. And if we do have a lot of people coming from another county down in like Cedar or Knox or something, you know, maybe there perhaps is a chance that we can cost share a little bit or something like that with those counties, you know, that don't have those services.
Right, and so we just implemented a new software February 1st, and so we input everyone's address into that and their driver's license number, and so that's how we're tracking that right now. I have no information because we just started it the 1st of February, but historically everything was done on pen and paper, and it would have been too hard to go back and chart all of that. So moving forward, we'll have some really good information. It'll even, like, our new software will even let us know the demographic of people that we're serving. So, like, the household, how many age groups, all sorts of things. So,
How are you guys dealing with the soaring costs of food that has to kind of cut into your budget, the way that has risen in the last, year?
we've cut back on things here and there. We stopped buying eggs for a little bit, and we had to look at other protein options. But really, we just know that we have to provide food to people, and so we haven't really changed what we're providing since I've been here. But like I said, we did cut back on eggs being the main thing.
Sure. That makes
but-
sense.
I don't know. I think that.
Yeah, well, it's gotta be hard, serving more and more people all the time and costs going up and up all the time. And
So one of
So-
the things that I've done since I've been there is I've been trying to reach out to like connecting cultures, because we've been seeing a big number of Spanish speaking people coming to us. And so we're trying to like accommodate them having like Spanish applications and things like that, but also the type of food we're offering, like bags of rice and beans and things like that. And they're fairly affordable things to do. And so we're just trying to cater a little bit to the demographic that we're seeing at the time. Any other questions? Well, thank you.
I'd move we approve the Contact Center 2022 annual report.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Thank you.
The next item is delete structures from the National Bridge Inventory. Was in your packet, and are
And
there,
Mike was gone this week, so I'm representing and bringing them to you guys for approval.
I would move the approval of the deletion of, do you want the number? Bridge number 68-019-015 and bridge 68-147-138.
I'll second
second.
that.
have a motion and second, discussion?
Just,
All,
just for information, those bridges were replaced by box culverts,
yep.
is the reason why we're removing them.
And they no longer meet the requirements.
Correct.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the National Opioid Settlement Notice.
Rob, you don't know anything about that, do you?
Is that a no? For our at-home viewers.
I guess I don't either. Deb was gonna, I don't know, she thought maybe we'd have more information for this meeting, but.
Well, my understanding of these class action settlements is you either opt in or you opt out. If you opt in and there's a settlement, which apparently there is quite, I didn't do the math, but it appears to be at least $20 billion over a period of years, then you get some portion of the money based on some fraction or factor that they think up. The alternative is that you opt out, in which case then if you want any money from the opioid debacle, then the state has to sue those folks independently, which, and/or Yankton County would. And I don't think Yankton County has the resources to fund such a fight. Would that be fair?
Yeah. It also notes, I know, like, we have till April 18th to sign this. If there's, I don't know, if we want to, we could table if anyone does want to look at it further, but like,
Yeah.
I think it's a take it or leave it situation.
It's a take it or leave it situation, and frankly, I don't think Yankton County has enough money to fight these folks.
If they get enough from different counties, does the state then do that?
The state has already been a part of this class action settlement. The question is, how much will Yankton County get as a result of this settlement based upon whatever number the state gets? And it's probably based on population, which would mean
Just
Sioux
like
Falls,
the other one.
yep, Sioux Falls and Pennington would get the biggest share, and we would get a smaller share, but not the smallest share. So I would move to opt in to the national opioid settlement.
I would second that motion.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed the same? Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is kind of my little project. And what I'd like to do is work towards a more strategic approach to the county in our actions. And to do that, I think there's some understandings that we as a commission need to agree on. And I've got 3 different lists here. And I just wrote them down for starters. And I would expect that everyone that has a project that they would like to add or a thought that they would like to add, they do that. And when we come back as a group to discuss the finalization of this type project, we can make the decisions on where we go. And I'm just going to go through them briefly here because I'd like the public to have some kind of feeling of transparency on what we're trying to do. The commission organization and actions that I'm suggesting is we look at a consent agenda, and that's probably just an item to streamline some of the things that are pretty regular approved, and we'll always have a chance to ask questions about it if it's chosen. Then the next bullet under agenda item for open discussion. I'd like to have us put an item on the end of our agenda that's open discussion that we can talk about talk about things that come to our attention. Emails that come in that say our road's bad or whatever, but areas that we can bring to the public's attention and we can discuss them so that they're on the agenda. Meeting time, I think probably everybody's happy with the meeting time, so, but I just wanted to make sure. Executive sessions, that's been a challenging point a little bit over the past, and I'd just like to say that we need to be attentive to conducting our business in executive sessions in a manner that's fully appropriate. And we need to hold each other accountable for that. One of the things that has sometimes bothered me when we have presentations by department heads, and they come in and make a presentation, but they never make a recommendation. And I think we hire and pay those department heads to do a job, and I would expect a recommendation from them on a course of action. 8 county meetings are very valuable in my opinion. I think I would encourage for as many of us to attend as we can. I would like to view the Yankton County Commission and their work as a positive culture in the community, that we're working here to support all members of the community and to make this a better place to live and work and grow businesses. Relationships, talk about city, state, organizations, other counties. I think we need to really delve into that and see how we can develop better relationships. I would plan on having monthly department head meetings that certainly all of the county commission would be invited to. I'd like to be centered on customer service and have that as a part of the actions rather than just making sure that we make every T crossed and I dotted. And the last item I put on is I would encourage our teams to find ways that they can celebrate their successes, so that can generate lots of enthusiasm out into the communities. So those are, from an organizational standpoint, those are some of the things that I would be trying to keep in the back of my mind. Then I made a list of what my expectations of the commission are. And again, if any of you want to add things to it, let's get it on there and get concurrence on it. First of all, I put down honesty and integrity, and I think that has to be the highest on our list of things that we have to be guided by. If we lose those 2 items, we're really in a deep hole. Transparency. I think we can make better attempts to be transparent and to let the community be involved, or whomever is looking into a team or a project. Discussion with Rob and his crew would probably limit some areas that we absolutely won't go into in transparency, but anyway. I'd like to focus a little more on leadership and a little, maybe not less, but the same amount at least in management. And to me, management and leadership are two pretty separate topics, and I intend to keep management and leadership in the front of the commission meetings as we go on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. Collaboration, I think we have to stress collaboration with all county departments, with the city, with the state, with the organizations. We're too dang small of an area to be isolated and not be working with other people to make things happen. One of the things that I would expect that probably ties to collaboration is what I listed as no silos. And my understanding of a silo is a green storage structure that we put silage in. But under this situation, I'm talking about no little independent groups within the county team that isolate themselves and take their own route on everything. We need to be one total team. We need to work together and move forward and support each other. Team respect, that fits in with what I just said, but we could improve a lot on that. Our teams are not as cohesive as I'd like to see them, and they need to learn to respect each other and help each other. Respect for time, of course, is, and no micromanaging. And I'm talking about in our relationships to boards and department heads. We hired good people to do the job, and we need to expect them to do it and hold them accountable for doing it. And then the last item on that list was strategic thinking. And I think with as rapid as our culture, our nation, the world changes, we need to be strategically thinking about things. We need to get away from reliance on that's the way we've always done it, and we need to find better ways to do things. And I know that with this five people sitting here, we've all had ideas on ways that we could better serve the public and probably do it at a lower cost. So I plan to get together with District 3 and put together a strategic planning session. And if you guys have ideas that you would like on the list that we just went through, I'd sure like to add it before we have that meeting. Now, when I started this, I mentioned that on the agenda for each month, I'd like to have an area for discussion of issues that are going on. And for me, part of the areas of strategic planning in the county that I think we should be looking at are ambulance services, economic growth and development, a county human relations manager, a county manager, roads, team building, detention services, jail, value-added agriculture, planning and zoning, financial planning, county shared responsibilities. What I'm referring to there is if we could do things with neighboring counties. For example, our veteran service officer has done a huge job of supporting neighboring counties, and I think we need to look for more of those examples, and we need to find a fairer way of covering the costs. Manufacturing, tourism, and housing. Now, I don't expect us to address all these items in a year, but I'd like, at our follow-up meeting on this, I'd like to select 3 or 4 that we see a high priority in, and identify those, and set up an accountability plan to see what we can do about it. And you know, I'll just start out as an example with the ambulance services. There's a lot of challenges there with getting people, with meeting community expectations, with transfers, and we need to take a deep look into how we can better serve the public, or best serve the public. I won't say better, I want to say best serve the public. And I think we need to dive into all these areas, and any areas that you guys want to add on this list. Let's get them on there, and then let's start figuring out ways that we can look at it and make our county a better county. Any questions on that? Hearing none? Heck with you then. No, what I'd like to do, if possible, is, and I'd like to do this fairly soon, I'd like to set up a meeting for 4 o'clock in the afternoon where we could dive into these here and start moving on them.
What afternoon?
I'm open almost all of next week. I'm open this week on Friday. Friday,
The 3rd?
March 3rd would work.
I'm in a jury trial in Nebraska, the 2nd and 3rd.
Okay. How about Thursday of that week?
That's the 2nd. In a jury trial.
You're still in the
Starts
whole week?
Thursday,
The whole week?
continues on Friday, and judge said we'll go on Saturday.
Oh. Good. Wednesday,
Monday would work for me, though.
the 6th? Monday the 6th, Wanda?
Yeah.
Does that work for the rest of us? Well, let's plan on meeting here at 3:30 on the 6th.
What do you call that, strategic planning?
I think it's preparation for strategic planning. As I recall, when we sat down with District 3 last time, if we'd had issues and things on the table to discuss, we'd have been ahead in the process.
Yeah, and, yeah, I think that'd be good. We can bring some ideas forward. Sounds good.
Okay, so I got 3:30, and I would hope that we could make a good dent on what we want to do and set direction in an hour and a half. That works for everybody? Any questions or discussion?
No.
For the consent agenda, is that open for discussion? or-
Absolutely.
I guess I know that originally, way back when, there was consent agenda, and I know it's easier to just approve that, but we really don't have a lot of ongoing things with the county, bills and things like that, and it just takes a few minutes to approve it. So I understand the wanting the meetings to run faster with the consent agenda, but they really don't take very long.
I don't necessarily want faster, Dan. I want it to be
Sure,
more
sure.
productive.
Yeah, I guess,
And I think we did just the
Yeah.
department reports.
I'm sorry?
We just did the department reports
for,
mostly.
for consent agenda. See, and I guess personally, I like when they come in once every 3 months, and it gives that department an opportunity to say, this is what I'm doing, because we used to not do that, and then Mac used to come in and say, this is all I'm doing with the veterans, and now that it's recorded, there's a lot of people who watch back home. I know Mac brought up the Brownwater Navy bill that got passed years ago, and I know people who saw that listening, and then, well, now I'm eligible, I used to not be. So I think it's a good opportunity for those department heads to say, hey, this is what I'm doing with your guys' tax dollars. Yeah, veterans is a good one, sheriffs is a good one, contact center here was another good one, and it's once every 3 months, and it's good for all of us to know what they're doing as well. That's just my 2
Okay,
cents.
Although I would say the Register of Deeds report where he tells us how many birth certificates and how many death certificates he prints out. I'm not sure that we can't do that particular one on
Let's-
paper without having him read it.
Let's,
to us.
let's leave this discussion to the meeting on the,
Sure.
whatever, because it's a good,
Yeah.
I agree with you
Yeah.
on the department head reports.
Yeah.
I enjoy them. So,
Okay.
next item on the agenda is the February 7th minutes.
Reschedule, or.
What, did I skip
we got
something?
9A, the
Oh, sure.
ambulance.
Skip my added
Application
ones.
for ambulance applications.
So I'm on the ambulance committee, and I've been interviewing and talking to our EMTs, paramedics, visited with Troy. I think that unfortunately, we lost Steve as our administrator a few months back. The ambulance service has been running without an administrator for that amount of time. Troy has filled in admirably and has picked up some of the slack there, but I think it's time that we seriously take a look and start looking for a new administrator for the ambulance service. I know that they've been in kind of a downhill swing lately, probably not lately, but for as long as I can contest, but the people that I have visited with claim or say that our Yankton ambulance service at one time was one of the best in the state, and would like to see it become that again. So I just wanted to start a conversation this evening to look at possibly opening up that application process sooner than later.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Before you make a did we appoint Troy as the intern?
Yes.
So he is, okay.
Did
Yeah, I would second your motion, John.
I would make
First, he has to make it.
I would make the motion to open up or start the process of getting applications started for our ambulance administrator.
Now I
I'll
have-
second.
Now I have a second. Motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed the same. Motion carries.
With that, how are we gonna do that? Because this is probably one of those positions that, I believe Steve came from Wyoming, was it?
Yes.
So there aren't a lot of ambulances in South Dakota. So I mean, we might get somebody from another state or who knows
Well,
where.
I have contacted Marty Link, who's administrator for South Dakota Ambulance Services, and he would give us some ideas of where to
Okay.
advertise and things like that. And I think we automatically advertise on
Yeah.
Monster.
Monster.
We'll send
Ryan
it
had a
to-
really good idea he discussed with me. I think we
Yeah,
I really like
there's
that.
there's a service out there that we've used on our company, but it's called just Simply Hired, and it gives you a paid listing on a lot of different sites. You only pay for the reveal of the contact information of an applicant. So it's a really low cost, low commitment option to get some applicants, and you can pre-vet them, and then, if you want to contact them, you pay for that contact information. So that's a possible avenue, and you get those monster listings, the Indeed listings, and all those.
Okay.
And it's like, we in the past have paid around $25, $35 for a contact, so.
Yeah.
Do we want like a committee of 2 commissioners to review the applications and give a recommendation?
I think you should too have Troy in there too.
Well, I think
Troy's
Troy's gonna
gonna
be
be an
making an
application.
Might be,
application, so I don't think
applicant,
Troy
so-
should be in there.
Someone should be,
There-
to know what the ambulance department is doing.
Actually, I think a good idea is to have, like, maybe one of the paramedics or EMTs being
Yes.
on there to,
I think that committee can be formed at a later date. I think it's
Okay.
just, like I said, I just want to get
Let's
the ball
open it
rolling
up
and
first.
Yep.
get some applications. And then I think we do need to form a hiring committee for that service.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay.
I think we need to, did we vote yet?
Not yet.
We had a
Not yet.
motion and a
Second.
second, but no vote.
Yep.
Aye.
Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same, motion carries.
9B.
Next was the phone call that I sat on today for a couple, 3 hours. It's a application for a grant to conduct a study about the possibility of trails in the connecting Yankton and Vermillion. And it's a tourism type attraction. We're talking about an area where tourism is very important in the state, and this looks like a good opportunity. There's no financial obligation to us. All that they're requesting is that I, the chairman of the county commission, send a letter suggesting that we think it'd be a good idea to explore this.
I don't see any downside to it. At the ditch board meeting, I visited with the Clay County Commission on it, and, you know, I don't see any downside to it.
And I think in our meeting today, Betty was there, and she seemed quite relieved to have some of the responsibilities taken off of her shoulder on it. So it looks like a very interesting project. Could do a lot of things. We have the Mickelson Trail. We have Sioux Falls has trails. We have trails out to the lake.
Well, look at all the money that Nebraska is going to put in to their side of Lewis and Clark Lake in the coming years. It's millions and millions of dollars.
So, anyway, I will pen a letter and get it off to this guy,
What was that grant name again? It was a raise?
Raise, Raise.
Well,
All right.
I just want to do a motion to have you do that, apply for the grant. I'd make a motion to allow the chairman to draft a letter in support of a raise grant with Yankton and Clay counties.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, discussion, all in favor say yes.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, opposed, same, motion carries. Okay, reschedule of the 18th commission meeting. That's April 18th.
I think there was some discussion that we do it on the 21st of April.
Well, that's when we're doing tax boards.
Yeah.
I think we thought we were gonna do it Thursday on the 20th last, is that correct?
Yeah.
Thursday when?
But
You're not done until 3 o'clock.
Yeah, there's no,
Actually, Gary, what's on the agenda for afternoon is not worth staying for. And last year I drove home and made it here easily in time for the meeting on Thursday night.
I'm gonna have to stay though, because we usually have some
Yeah.
executive stuff, on Thursday. And then, you know, help do like after action
Sure.
report or something. So I might have to stay a little later I don't know. I don't suppose it would work to do it on Monday?
Monday night?
Oh, wait, no, we gotta be up there Tuesday day,
I thought it was Wednesday and Thursday.
No, you'll go up Tuesday night.
yeah.
So Monday's
Yeah, what about-
available,
What
right?
about Monday then?
Monday
Works for me.
this, what day?
17th.
17th?
17th.
What, so when does the SDA, that starts
Starts
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday morning? Okay. Yeah, I'd be fine with Monday at
6.
regular time.
Entertain a motion to that effect.
I'll make the motion to reschedule our April 18th commission meeting to April 17th.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed the same, motion carries. Now, the February 7th meeting minutes.
I make a motion to accept the February 7, 2023 minutes.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed the same, motion carries. Next, the claims.
I'd move to approve the claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the claims. Discussion?
I do want to, I did, for that, the Minnehaha Juvenile Detention Center. That is, for this time, it was $10,288.59. It's $278.07 per day. And one individual stayed there for 18 days, and one individual stayed there 19 days.
It's two what per day?
$278.07.
Rob, you guys got the Carpel system, looks like? Is that all up and running good? People happy with it? Great.
I have a question when it's time to move on to the pooled cash report.
I do have one question. Yankton Rexall drugs, 3,200. What do we do
Drugs.
there?
Is that for
Drugs
the,
for the jail?
Inmate drugs.
Okay.
Lots of.
A lot of them is right.
no insurance either?
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve the claims.
I did that.
You did?
Yeah.
I moved it. I don't know if, I think somebody seconded
Glenda
it.
and Dan.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed the same. Motion carries. Auditor Treasurer, but that's why I need my.
Now, I have a question about the auditor's monthly settlement. I see we have a lot of money in the savings accounts. How long does that money usually stay there? Is there any point in putting any of it into like a 10-month CD or no?
That is through Patty, and I think, I'm not sure, I think it just stays there. Yeah, it's just a little over, probably close to 4 million.
Yeah, but if it just stays there, I know that some of the banks in town are paying 4%. So 4% is 3.5% better
Well,
than,
they're in these different banks.
I get that, but it's still 3.5% better than 0.5%. You know, we have to be mindful. If it's just sitting in a savings account, let's see what we can get for it.
You know, 4 million at 4%, what's that, $160,000 interest we could?
That's
Yeah.
nothing to
Yeah.
sneeze at.
No, I mean, that's a good point. That's a good idea.
So I will talk to Patty and let you know on the next meeting.
Because I will be more than happy to contact these banks and see what rate they'll give us.
You know, and that almost leads to I think this is a discussion we had years ago before COVID. It would probably be worthwhile to revisit some of these banks and see the interest rates that we're getting on some of these, you know, it might be, if we could get a little more interest on our dollars, be something to look into.
Isn't that what we just talked
Yeah,
about?
but CD, yes, but we have a bunch of different banks we bank with. If we could discuss with them and get better rates on all of those, it'd be a good idea. I agree with you, Wanda.
That's a shock.
I'd move approval of the monthly report
And the pool cash.
and the pooled cash report.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed the same. Motion carries. Okay, we're down to public comment.
Uh-oh.
You didn't think you'd get by that lucky, did you? Not when we seen you walk in the door.
Louis Johnson, Violent, South Dakota. Just a couple short things tonight. We have some new commissioners, and I'm gonna give you some free advice, and it's worth everything you paid for it. Number one, there is no such a thing as a secret in Yankton County. Somebody knows. The other thing, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to be a good commissioner, read the laws, follow the laws. If you don't like it, change the laws. But don't try to circumvent the whole process. Enough on that. Next thing, zoning board. Got to thinking about this the other day. I think we need to come up with a better way to pick candidates for the zoning board. Because, okay, I have started projects. I figure out what I need to figure out. I do all my homework, and then I go to the board of, the way one person explained to me, the board of the lords and ladies to ask permission if I can do something on my place. A percentage of them have absolutely no business experience other than their household expenses. So if you're going in there with a business plan to try to do something to make money rather than muddle it up in paperwork, can't we expedite it? Can't we go, here, what can we do to make this go better? Rather than, and I've heard that comment made in this particular room, oh, you've got enough. How much do you need? Now, what kind of encouragement is that for growth in the county? It's like, man, I'm not going to Yankton County. My God, they're so jealous over everybody. They don't do anything. Think about it. The other thing is, with the weather coming in, when is the last time any of you guys have taken donuts to your snowplow operator? How many of you guys have given them hell for not getting to your place first? And it's just one of those things where, hey, I had a guy that was on me because he was late. He had to wait. My God, he got stuck. Next time it snowed, I went to his place first, opened him up. Got a nice text message. Thanks for getting me opened up. So I texted him back and I said, okay, there's 103 other people that I opened up for. So in the 104th snowstorm, you'll be first again. Thank you.
Okay. No other public comments? Commissioner updates.
I have none.
Well, I guess the only thing I'm trying to do is I'm gonna try to get around to all the departments and actually, make sure we get this, IT hardware, software stuff, put together for our IT people and, so that we can have a holistic view of what our technology is, what we need. I think there's just in my very quick view of things, I think there's some opportunities to save money there, so I will definitely be working on that the next month, so.
Actually, I take that back. I attended the ditch board meeting with Mr. Marquardt and Mr. Clemish. Mr. Heine was elected vice chair.
Now you can really get bitched at
Uh-huh.
about bitches.
And yes, you were invited.
I was invited.
I wasn't,
Was-
I want
I
you
put
to
the
know
wrong
it was
day down.
these guys, it wasn't me.
It taught me to make sure I attend every meeting.
Okay. John? anything?
Nothing really. I'm sure, like Louis mentioned, the snowstorm coming in, I'm sure our highway department is certainly ready and willing to take care of that. Like Wanda said, we did attend the ditch meeting over in Vermillion. That went over well, I thought. Short and sweet. Other than that, that's all I got.
Dan?
Yeah, on IT, it says our Microsoft Teams is not enabled on, is that accurate or is that just me?
Yeah, there's been an issue, you first pretty much just
Sure.
gotta go in as guest,
Yeah.
otherwise it doesn't work, so.
it says,
They're aware of that.
it says,
Yeah.
okay, and maybe that's something good, because a lot of the NACO meetings that I attend are all Microsoft Teams, and so it's kind of a little frustrating on that. I didn't know if you were aware of that. What else do I got? We did, if you guys all saw, we got some more Department of Equalization applications, and I guess I wanted to know what our thoughts are. We probably should get those guys interviewed, I would think, sooner, if we want to do a committee where two of us do it and make a recommendation. The way the job market is, if we sit on them too long, we'll probably move on. And then with Mike being out of the area, and the snow, did you guys all get Paul's email in that video? It's supposed to be
Yes.
pretty significant with snow and wind, and I hope, maybe we're overacting, but, you know, a plan of, do we want to send the highway guys out if it's just going to get blown back in, or?
I did visit with Mike
Okay.
before he left, and he's pretty well taken
Okay.
care of
All
everything
right.
in his absence,
Sure,
so.
yep. That's all I got.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is executive session, poor relief pursuant to South Dakota CL 1-25-2 and 28-13 and 28-13-1.3.
I would move to go into executive section for poor relief as well as a litigation report.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. We're in executive session.
Mike should have picked a good time to.
Rob, can I ask you a question?
There's no snow, but there's a lot of crime.
Okay, you know, they approved this road district last year. Well, the state rejected it. Cause I sent them what I've always said all the time when they rejected it. I'm supposed to have this, and then the resolution, and all that. I had Don sign it. Should I put today's date, or if that's when they approved it?
The signature date is probably what it is. So what happened is they said this is the information we needed.
They needed them this.
So you just redid it, I just added,
They got a
Yep.
better budget.
you know what I do, I just leave it.
Well, and that big one
Once the
doesn't
date you
use
lose
sidewalk
all the
very
time.
well.
No,
I leave it,
Does,
just leave it.
does that mineral they.
They probably wanna know the
put into
date
street
that it
really
was signed,
nicely.
and
but
I
I
tell
think
you
it's
what,
okay.
this year has been the worst year, mainly because we've had a lot more storms. And secondly, pretty much every, I do township work, your township, they all had a layer of ice on them.
Yeah, because it snows, it melts,
Yeah.
snows, melts, freezes.
I was going
you know.
up a hill, and by the time I got to the drift, I was barely moving, and I had chains on 4 tires, and when it broke loose, I was sliding backwards, with the wheels going forwards with chains on, and some jackass pulls up behind me with his SUV, like, aren't you gonna get this open? And I thought, you're gonna get run over unless you find reverse pretty soon.
Yeah, no kidding.
But everybody's in a hurry.
I'm not when I've been in situations on the interstate, several years ago. I worked for Walmart then, and I was helping remodel the, Walmart out, in Spearfish.
Okay.
In February, you know, so this time of year.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, and one time we're driving out there and we're on 990 in the middle of nowhere. And it wasn't snowing and stuff then, but a plow, one of the big plows was out. And of course, it was just
Yeah,
everywhere, right?
Lined.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
All I could see of the right into the median, and I'm going, you didn't tip over, I'm not even calling. Nope, too bad, you got a semi, you got all that stuff.
I had a guy that stopped me one time, chewed my ass out, got in his pickup and passed me, and I'm opening the road, dipshit.
Yeah, no.
And a quarter mile later, he's in the
He's in the
ditch.
ditch.
And I didn't even look his way, I just thought, that's the safest place for you.
Yep, yep, there's been, I live out in the big city of Mission Hill,
Yeah.
there, so I can't, there's been several times driving into town or more likely back home, I will see somebody in the ditch, below the WNX towers.
Yeah.
Which I find humorous because I'm here as a reporter for KYNT.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And one morning I came in town and I came along, I come down 448, turned onto old Highway 50 and went in, and there was 7 vehicles in the ditch by the time I got to town.
yeah,
And a bunch of them were, just on the curves below Mission Hill going
Yeah.
to the west there. There was 4 of them in there.
Yeah.
And there was one, there was 2 of them, and I think they were touching. And then there was another guy who was digging out in Jay's field there.
oh,
And then another one just a little bit farther that had gone into.
I had a phone call and said, "Can I get you to pull me out? I'm in the ditch on Old 50, okay?" So I said, "I'm not tonight, I'm not going out tonight." He said, "Not in the morning, first thing." And I said, "Yeah, I can do that." So I go down there, and I call him, and I said, "Okay, where for sure are you?" He said, "I'm the last car in the ditch on the south side." And I don't know how many I drove past,
Yeah.
but he was the last car, but thank
Oh.
God he was standing out there, and he had 150 foot of tow rope hooked up to his vehicle. By the
He
time I
got out in
there.
quite a ways then.
And it was Wanda's brother.
Oh. Yeah,
I did see one on the way home the other day, where Whiting Drive turns into old Highway 50. That power station there, that,
Yep,
right there.
yep.
The peaking
Just-
plant,
Huh?
the peaking plant on the
Yeah.
hill.
Yeah, right at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Well, just west of that, south side of the road, what is it with the
Yeah.
south side of the roads?
Yeah.
A pickup was on its roof.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw that the other
yeah,
day.
I'm going,
Yeah, I tell you what,
sometimes,
the
yeah.
speed limit is 55, so I should be able to do it even if I don't know where the road is.
Oh, yeah, the worst bad thing is you can't see the ditch.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost the best thing now because there's enough snow in the ditch that when they roll it, they don't kill themselves.
No,
Because it's in the,
That snow in the ditch is getting the consistency of solid ice.
Yeah, yeah, it's
See,
pretty,
oh,
it's,
only they come out and they took it out into the grove, but they've got chunks that big around just that broke up. But there was also a layer of dirt in there.
yeah,
There was a layer about that much because the fields for at least a mile north of me, they blew dirt. That first snow, there wasn't any snow left in
It's still
that.
better if you just drive on the road.
No, there wasn't any snow left out in the fields, but there was dirt.
Yeah.
Cause I had drifts in my yard on top of the 6-foot drift that started to be, on some of them, then they had about that much dirt. And then when the sun came out, it thawed that, and then there laid, when I was trying to move it with the loader, there was a chunk about 6 to 8 inches thick that was just pure mud, frozen mud.
yeah, yeah.
And
Well, like yesterday, my day job, I worked for Wilson Trailer, was going along and, oh boy, it was sloppy as all get out yesterday and trying to clean up things, get all trash and pieces of wood and stuff like that that'll interfere with the plow,
Yeah.
our plows and our
still doing about 30.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The
that
big
was,
city of Mitten Hill.
Yay. Yep.
Mr. Gayton is gonna, his house should show up this summer now. Ray Gayton. He's buying the governor's house, putting it in.
in Mission Hill.
Young.
Well, probably, I think it's,
Yeah, it's like right up in here.
no, I bet you it's right there. That's the one that burned down.
That one's a different one.
Oh, different
Ray
one,
is
yeah.
gonna go in north of
Oh,
there.
yeah, okay.
And his son is
This
building
one's
some
got
kind
the
of a
basement.
deal. Yeah, that one's done.
Yeah,
And
I know about this one, right? Why?
It-
I live in that one.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
So I could see,
Yeah,
That one.
we went down there and we took a bunch of trees out for him.
yeah,
And I think there's only one, Lesterville is the only town I have never done any work in.
yeah.
They're all the rest
I
of them.
think it's sort of funny when I talk to people about, dealing with a lot of historical stuff. It's like, that church, we refer to, refer to that as New Vongen.
Yeah, that's
It
a
is
new church.
Vongen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause the old one's
19
down over here.
yeah, this was built in 1917.
Yeah.
And it's the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
1869 for the
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I got family, bunch of family in there.
Okay.
I mean, probably great grandpa and grandpa.
I've got, Dad's got uncles in the Wyoming Cemetery, and
And
grandparents and aunts in the Zion Cemetery,
oh,
and then
what
like,
do you got in Mission Hill Cemetery then?
yeah, see, and then.
well, you got,
Grandma and
you
grandpa.
got this one and then you got the Vongen one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Now, that church out there at Vongen, the one out there is one of the oldest churches in the state of South Dakota.
I know. It took 2 weeks by ox cart to get the lumber from Sioux City to
Oh,
get
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no electricity, no running water, so sermons out there are usually
Yeah.
fairly short.
Yeah,
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 and I don't know if they ever even put a well in there, or do they?
I thought there was.
I think that,
seems to me there was a pump.
yeah,
was that a pump?
yeah.
Yeah, it might
Yeah.
have been,
It-
or did they
it's
have
not
a cistern?
functional.
They
It's
might
a
have had a
cistern.
cistern.
It's a cistern,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
that's not functional. The only amenities we really have out there is the outhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's important.
Yeah.
I,
But yeah, it was, that
Yeah.
one's pretty cool when I get to talk to people about that. Oh, that Smithsonian Institute, or, display, that they have up at the Mead right now. The old church is pictured in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was one of the historical pictures that they wanted somebody to take an updated picture, and they got them side by side. And I've taken a ton of pictures of that old church.
where I live, great grandpa and aunt, one of the older boys, took the oxen and went to Sioux City and got lumber, and they built the barn in 1869.
Okay.
Then, later they built the house.
Yeah,
They were living in a dugout up where RPM is right now,
Oh, okay.
and
They were in
Great
the
grand-
sod house then.
no, great grandpa or grandma was pregnant and it's expecting. And I said, yeah, it looked like rain and it was her time, so the neighbors took the cover off the wagon and put over her so her and the baby didn't get rained on.
Yeah.
you did what you got to. You know?
And I think that might have been like Doc Stanage's grandpa
Oh, yeah.
that was
okay.
born down
Well,
in Conley and those guys, John, but.
Well,
no, I've got a connection in Kingsbury County, so my grandparents and my great-grandparents on my mom's side are buried in the same cemetery as Mom, Pa, Mary, and Ingalls.
Ingalls?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, my great-grandparents, when they first got married, rented a room from Mom, Pa.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, yes.
yeah,
said everybody in Mission Hill called her grandma all the time. And she made it to 92 or 94, had 12 kids,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and half of the kids died before she did.
Oh, when you get up that old, yeah, that can happen. My
Yeah.
grandfather is buried up in just Smith, was a World War I veteran,
You know,
yeah. So,
and they are, I gotta love to be a mouse in the corner in there.
well, yeah, being a reporter, I tend to, not just sit there all the time.
Yeah.
I'll say, we got some tough questions.
See, yeah, they're
And they're about time to do an update on the brouhaha in the, equalization office, I think.
Yeah.
So, every once in a while, say, come on. I mean, okay, the state's, oh no, come on. You guys gotta talk about it. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
You know,
And,
and
You
I'm
can't
sorry.
keep a secret.
you know,
Yeah,
I heard a guy
It-
say one time that, you know, really, there's not a goddamn thing goes on in Yankton County that somebody doesn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
What is really nice is last Friday,
Yeah.
there was a judge that issued a ruling on a building permit that was applied for
Yeah.
during when they discovered the 2006 ordinance was invalid, so it goes back to 2003. So there were some permits applied for it under the 2003 ordinance. And I went to the hearing when everybody was testifying, and the one lawyer asked Mr. Vedder, well, what did you do with it? Well, we didn't know for sure what to do with it, so we put it in a file and sent it off to the side. And I got in on the phone call when the judge had a conference call and explained his decision. And he goes, according to the zoning rules in Yankton, you have to either give the person the permit or tell him why you're not giving it. Putting it in the folder and sending it off to the side is not an option.
Yeah. That's the
And-
judge's option of
And that's,
bend over, I'm getting you.
yeah,
Or-
that's why I said, change the law if you don't like it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I remember coming and, you know, because with my church here and
Yeah.
everything like that, when Jay Cutts and
And
the
Carl.
and yeah.
And me,
Yeah,
and my
Well,
son.
Well, when
Yeah.
the big rush was for all these hog barns.
Yeah.
And like, and, you know, it's like all circling here, you know, and I'm going, what the heck? Do we have to do them all? I mean, I think you applied for, I think, one, right?
Yep.
That time. Jay had 3.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, start with one apiece. You know, see how it goes.
The only thing I will say on that defense, okay, it took me 17 months.
Yeah.
It took my son a year and the county and you and I and him ended up paying his lawyer bill. Because, don't worry, the insurance company covers it. The
Yeah.
insurance company has a $25,000 deductible in Yankton County.
Yeah.
So my son got 10 grand for lawyer bill.
Yeah.
That came out of our pocket. That didn't come out of the insurance company's pocket.
Yeah.
And the insurance company's going, Jesus Christ, you don't have a leg to stand on, settle before he wants the whole county.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing that I didn't think about out of that whole process, I remember, I mean, there was a process that things
Yeah.
were supposed to go on.
Yeah.
And I remember, this is before I was even a reporter or anything, I remember, well, let's do step 3 before we get step 1 done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
pigs in it. And I ran to my banker, he goes, well, when are you starting on the next one? And I said, oh, Christ, I may not live long enough to pay this one off. So he said, so you die and you owe on this one, what difference does it make if you owe on another one? And I wanted the finisher for the manure.
Yeah,
That manure is liquid gold.
yeah.
And everybody, well, why are they scattering them out? Well, there's a reason. This way, they don't have to drive up and down the roads with a honey wagon. They've got one here, they irrigate or, fertilize this ground.
Yeah,
And on mine, I don't have to pull out on the road. I got a half section there.
yeah. Because I remember you're the one that was actually, hey, I got it. You know,
Yeah.
by my place.
Yeah,
You know,
and
the
it-
others.
No.
And it made no
It's-
difference at
It's
all.
196 foot from his entrance door, the hinges on that, cause he had
held the tape.
He had the done in, and I got that, so
My
I.
next door
I-
neighbor was furious.
Yeah,
I said, what? And he said, I thought you were gonna put it across the road from my house. Why the hell did you put it in your yard? He said, I wanted it next to my house. And I looked at him and he said, well, they told me my taxes would go.
Yeah.
He said, I'd save a fortune on taxes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
But
that-
the other two guys, I mean, they didn't put them near the house they live in. They put them
Yeah.
all over the place, and one of them is just north of the old church now. Well, not one of the original ones, but one of the new ones,
Yeah.
I think.
It's half a
Cut.
mile, it's
Yeah.
3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
And
Because nobody mentioned, but there was a 300 head feedlot that was 100 yards from that. Close, I mean, it was right,
When Bill Weffel from Weffel
no,
Construction was feeding
on
cattle.
Hanson's.
Oh, on Hanson's, okay, yeah.
And there was one, and actually I raised hogs right across the road,
Yeah,
from the end of the driveway there.
The
But
thing
that
that,
was-
the thing that gets me is the fact that we have, oh God, it was the end of the world. We weren't gonna be able to go outside, we weren't gonna be able to do this. The fertilizers, like I said, it's great stuff.
yeah.
The, if using manure instead of petroleum-based fertilizer isn't sustainable, something's wrong with the definition of sustainability.
And part of it
The
is
micronutrients.
to keep that, now it's all tested.
Yeah.
Cause I know a guy who's been, their family has been doing hogs by Gayville for younger the century, but on that, they test it all and so he knows exactly how many pounds he can put. But see, there's a limit to how much you can put on too, so
And
that's
well,
why
which-
you have to
which
have
is-
an area.
which is-
Just like with anything, you know, like if you did chemical fertilizer,
Yeah,
if
oh,
you overdo it,
you
you
throw your
know,
money
you
away.
ruin everything, you know?
Yeah.
And-
Burn, it's called burn.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah. But, you know, the thing that got me was that through that whole process, and I don't think you had, when you got, I think you went up first, and there wasn't a whole lot of pushback, because it was one, and near your house, right? But the other two got pushback, and I spoke up against it, because it's like, you're surrounded by my stinking house, you know, with all theirs, and I'm going, gee, we cranked this, and they weren't following the steps that were laid out.
Okay.
Their own stinking rules they were not laid out. And that's what, you know, and I agree, you know, the manure is the best fertilizer you can have.
When I was a kid,
Yeah.
my grandmother,
Your grandma's house would have been right there.
you know where the,
yeah,
where the pump is?
Yeah.
To pump all the manure, or all the human manure out
Yeah.
to that spot right there.
Yeah.
That's where my grandmother lived, and I spent a lot of time in that spot when the house flooded
Mm-hmm.
and different things. But right over sits right next to it.
That's that church, yeah. It's,
Yeah,
it was a
it-
congregational and then
yeah.
it's Baptist now.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
cause they
That-
sold it
Yeah.
for $10. Because this is a cemetery here, and it was, because it was, it just, he did that, and he worked on the paper in Yankton, and here, he was on, printing paper.
Oh, okay.
He did, that's kind of what he did, but he raised hogs there. There was, when I was in school, there was probably
Did you go to
80 or
the
100.
school?
No, I went to Vollen.
Oh, okay.
Because, see, I lived out in the country, over here, halfway between Vollen and Mission Hill. My dad, my father's grandparents lived in here, and then mother, she lived in that spot. And that was like quite a spot there.
Yeah. Just like pushing buttons. Stories like put together. Couple of our studios are busy because
Is it just a precedent?
I move that we come out of executive session.
I have a
second
motion
that.
to come out of executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I
Wanda?
make a motion to offer Gary's Repair and Towing a compromise amount for the bill he has submitted relative to the the storage of what I will refer to as junk vehicles for the state of South Dakota versus Dylan Lopez case, which were apparently seized in 2021, and that case got over last year. I move that amount, compromise amount, be $10,000.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. That's it.
I'd move to adjourn.
I second.
Oh, wait,
Oh.
items for next session.
Oh,
But was there anything on poor relief?
No.
No action was taken on poor relief. Sorry.
That's all right.
Now we go to things for the next meeting.
Items for the next agenda meeting.
Continued talk on expectations.
Okay? Anything else?
Yeah, our, John and my city county planning meeting got postponed due to weather, so we're gonna be meeting, was that on the 9th? And if there's anything you guys would like us to bring up to the city, let us know. We'd be happy to discuss that with them.
Did you get a memo on that?
Anything else?
Dan, do you know if the sheriff was going to come? He was on the agenda last time for talking about food service at the jail. Have you
No,
talked to him?
He doesn't need to do that.
Okay.
Now he doesn't need to do that? Why?
Cause you'd have to talk to, Preston about that, but he told me that he talked to the one he has now, and it's lowered. He
Okay.
lowered the
That's,
cost, so.
that's great.
okay.
That's great, but I've seen what they were serving. Anyway, I move to adjourn then.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Phone number 665-0081.
I put mine away.
You're on.
Home, no, that's my home number.
Oh, but Gary texted me this morning, he must have texted, does he have your cell number?
You should have.